Hey guys, welcome to the Field of 68 YouTube channel. If you like what you see here, hit that subscribe button and you'll get more college basketball content just like this. All right. We'll get into X factors here in a second because before we do, I want to make sure I give you ample opportunity to talk about your breakout star and the breakout team that you're predicting in the SEC. Breakout star is tough for me, right? I think that one's
Oh,
a
it's
little bit
easy.
difficult. Is it for you.
It's
Okay.
easy for
Who you
me.
got?
I got an easy one. Big Z. Big Z is going to break out this year.
I like it.
Remember that debut he had last year? Do you remember the debut he had where he was like
I will
throwing
never
passes
forget
behind the
that
back?
13-minute his cameo. I will never forget that. That was one of the most fun moments I've ever had watching basketball in my life. And I still think that it is a crime against humanity that in his own building, somebody took away one of his threes because they said his toe was on the line. I don't know how you allow that to happen. Somebody should have gotten fired for that.
I think Big Z is going to have a breakout year. I do. I mean, think about it. The dude missed all that time last year. He was thrust into it. He looked like a deer in headlights for much of the time he was on the court, especially defensively. He had no idea what he's doing. So now he's got a whole offseason to get stronger. He knows Cal. He doesn't look like he gets rattled by Cal and how he'll yell at him, scream at him, whatever. He probably doesn't understand half of the shit that Cal says. But I think Big Z, super skilled, can block shots, can shoot it from three. We know he can pass it. Like, they don't have a lot up front right now. They don't. I mean, they got Jonas Adu and him. Last year, it was like Cal had no idea what to do with those three bigs, right? Like, what do you do? Bradshaw, Big Z, Onyensu. It was like he was rotating them every game. Now I think Big Z will have more of a defined role, and I think he'll take a jump.
Yeah, I don't hate that one. I think that one of the ones that I had written down was Aiden Holloway. If Mark Sears doesn't come back, I think is a guy that is perfectly suited to playing in that Alabama system. And he doesn't necessarily qualify as a breakout player because he averaged 17 points per game last year as a freshman. But I do think that Josh Hubbard playing in a bigger role on a team that's going to get a little bit more attention and going to probably be, in my mind, a top 25 team. Given the way that he plays, I think that he is going to be one of those guys that, you know how we all kind of fell in love with Marshall Henderson when he was doing his Marshall Henderson stuff. And there's always a player that ends up shooting a bunch of threes and he's a little bit shorter and he's just electric and a great story. I think that Josh Hubbard's going to be one of those guys where we kind of fall in love with the story of him as he gets more attention. Give me your breakout team. Who's going to take a big step forward this year? Who's going to surprise some people in terms of how good they are?
Florida. I just love their backcourt. I love Walter Clayton. I love Elijah Martin. You know that. Alex Condon's a kid who I think is going to take a huge jump this year. They bring back Will Richard. Yeah, I like their team. I mean, I'd like it more if Micah Henlock didn't get hurt. Then I'd really, really love him, and I think he's going to miss the season. And he was that kind of rim protector, big that they probably could use this year. But hopefully he rehabs and gets back on the court at some point fairly soon. But I love the Clayton Elijah Martin combo in the backcourt. Love them both. Big, strong. They know how to play.
You kind of stole mine a little bit. I was going to give Florida some shine because we hadn't really talked about them all that much. One team that we haven't mentioned that I do think is probably a little better than we've given them
Missouri
before. Well, there's
Missouri.
they have nowhere to go but up.
Right?
Correct. Like,
That's right.
they have nowhere to go but up. I'm not convinced of them yet. I'll buy it when it happens as them as more than just like a 6-14 team in the SEC. But I think that they're going to be better than they were last year. Tony Parkins is a dog. I love Tony Parkins. The other one that I'll just mention is Texas. Bringing in Tremont Mark, I think he's going to be really good for him. Caden Shedrick is coming back, and they just landed the kid from Oregon State. I'm blanking on his name. I apologize. Jordan Pope. Jordan, I'm sorry, I blanked on your name. And they're bringing in a top 5 freshman in Trey Johnson. So RT is going to have some players available to him to be able to utilize this year. Goodman, you got anything else in the SEC? What's the biggest X factor? You got about 30 seconds here.
Biggest X factor is probably my boy Nelly Davis. He'll be the biggest X factor. Can he be that guy for Arkansas? Like, can he be that dude that you can count on to be efficient? Can he, when he comes back, if he comes back, how does he deal with being coached by Cal? So I think him and JP Pegues, who I mentioned earlier at Auburn, those are my two X factors.
Yeah, Pegues was the guy that I had. JP Pegues and Mark Sears comes back. Yeah, we know what Mark Sears is going to be if he comes back. The question is if he comes back. And JP Pegues, like the point guard play is so important to what Auburn does, and JP Pegues fits perfectly. It's just a step up. We'll see how he ends up. But thank you for watching the Field of 68. If you've enjoyed what you've seen here, hit that like button, share this link with your friends, or check out the description for some other places that you can consume Field of 68 content.